There are women who will shout their affection from the rooftops, bold, direct, fearless. And then there are women who will feel every heartbeat with intensity, yet wrap those feelings in silence. She maintains eye contact, then quickly looks away. It's a dance, subtle yet intense, and one of the most telling signs that a woman likes you but is trying hard not to show it. It's not accidental. It's not random. That brief flicker of connection, followed by the swift retreat, carries more emotion than 1,000 words ever could. When a woman is interested in a man, her eyes betray her before her words do. They linger, they soften, they become curious, seeking a glimpse into the world you carry within you. But if she's trying to hide that interest, whether out of fear, pride, or uncertainty, that moment of eye contact becomes a game of tug-of-war between desire and defense. She wants you to notice her, but she doesn't want to seem obvious. She wants to be seen, but not exposed. So what does she do? She gives you just enough to make you wonder, to spark a question in your mind. Was she looking at me just now? Did I imagine that? And then she looks away, almost as if she was never watching at all. That single act, holding your gaze for a second too long, then breaking it, is filled with vulnerability. It's her emotional reflex kicking in. You see, a woman who doesn't care won't even bother. Her gaze will be casual, transactional, indifferent. But a woman who's fighting her feelings, she'll struggle to maintain composure even in something as simple as eye contact. You might notice it when you're talking to a group and say something that makes her smile. You catch her eyes just as she's already watching you. There's a softness there, a glimmer of something warm. But the second she realizes she's been caught, she looks away. She fidgets with her phone. She acts uninterested. That's not rejection. It's self-protection. This behavior often comes from a place of emotional caution. Maybe she's been hurt before. Maybe she's afraid of misreading the situation. Or maybe she's worried about being too available, too transparent, too easy to read. So instead of leaning in fully, she sends subtle signals. Her eyes might say, "I see you and I'm drawn to you." But her body says, "Don't get too close." But here's the beautiful part. Even in her retreat, there's bravery. Because for a woman to allow herself to look at you in the first place, especially with intention, she's already opened a small window to her inner world. Even if she slams it shut the next second, the fact that it opened at all matters. You'll notice it's not a one-time thing either. It happens repeatedly. Every time you speak, her gaze finds you. Every time you enter the room, she scans for you before pretending not to. She might act like she's focused elsewhere, but her awareness of you is constant. That fleeting eye contact is her way of staying connected, even when her pride or fear keeps her distant. Some women use this strategy deliberately. They've learned that mystery is powerful. They know that withholding full attention can be more intriguing than giving it all away. But even then, the motivation behind it often stems from the same place: genuine interest mixed with emotional restraint. You see, in the world of feminine expression, not everything is said out loud. In fact, most things aren't. Her feelings are written in glances, in hesitation, in the moments she thinks you're not looking. And the eyes, they're her first confession. So the next time you catch her looking at you, just for a moment, don't ignore it. Don't dismiss it as nothing. Because in that split-second gaze lies a hidden message. She's trying not to like you out loud. She's trying to hold it together, to play it cool, to not reveal too much too soon. But her eyes? They've already given her away. And if you're really paying attention, you'll see that she isn't just looking at you. She's searching for a reason to believe you're worth the risk of being seen. She finds subtle ways to be around you. Not in an obvious attention-seeking kind of way. No, she's far more strategic than that. It's in the little things, the quiet, consistent presence that somehow always aligns with yours. You find yourself running into her more than seems accidental. She shows up at the same events, ends up in the same group chats, sits near you during gatherings. Coincidence? Maybe once. But when it becomes a pattern, it's something more intentional. When a woman likes you but doesn't want to make it obvious, she won't chase you directly. She values her sense of mystery, but what she will do is place herself in your periphery, in your routine, in your line of sight. It's her silent way of saying, "I'm here," without actually saying it. She might not start conversations, but she'll position herself close enough to be noticed. She won't ask you to pay attention, but if you do, she won't be surprised. That's the balance she's trying to maintain, staying accessible without looking too available. And it's an art form, one that many women have mastered over time, especially when feelings are involved and vulnerability is not yet an option. You'll notice she shows up to the same places you go, even if she doesn't really have to be there. Maybe she lingers a little longer at the office when you're working late. Maybe she suddenly takes interest in the same cafe you frequent. Or maybe she just happens to be friends with people in your circle now, people she didn't hang out with before. She's carefully, deliberately crafting an overlap between your world and hers. This behavior doesn't mean she's being manipulative. Quite the opposite. It usually stems from uncertainty. She's still trying to gauge how safe it is to like you openly. So instead of taking a bold step forward, she orbits. She places herself close enough to feel connected, but far enough to protect her pride. Pay attention to her timing. She often appears when you least expect her, but most need her energy. When you're deep in thought, when your energy shifts, she senses it. That's the kind of intuitive awareness a woman carries when she's emotionally tuned into someone, even if she's not vocal about it. Even in group settings, she manages to be near you. She may not sit right next to you, but she's always within a few feet. She listens more than she speaks, observes more than she engages, but her focus is clear. And when the opportunity arises to interact, she does so casually, like it's just another moment in passing. But to her, it's calculated. It's a move. There's also a pattern of her finding reasons to talk to you, though they often seem innocent. She might ask a quick question, request help with something simple, or bring up a topic she knows you're interested in. These aren't random. They're her way of creating moments. She's building connection without exposing too much of her intent. And sometimes, she doesn't even need an excuse. Her presence is enough. She walks by a little slower when you're around. She places herself within your sightline. She doesn't engage, but she's there. Present, available, but not intrusive. This subtle proximity is her way of gathering data. She's watching how you respond. Do you notice her? Do you smile? Do you initiate? She's listening, measuring, interpreting every small signal you give off. Because if she likes you and is trying not to show it, she's looking for signs that you might feel the same way before she dares take a more visible step. Her actions are soft, strategic, and consistent. And that consistency is key. Anyone can show up once, but when she shows up repeatedly, without any clear reason except the fact that you're there, it's a sign, a big one. She's creating opportunities for closeness, hoping you'll take the next step, because even though she's not ready to admit it, being near you feels right to her. When a woman finds subtle ways to be around you, she's doing far more than just hanging out. She's giving you access to her energy, quietly, carefully, but deliberately. And if you pay close enough attention, you'll realize she's not just near you by chance, she's near you by choice. Her body language speaks louder than her words. She might say very little, might even act indifferent, but her body tells a much deeper, more honest story. When a woman likes you and is trying not to show it, her physical responses betray the emotions she's keeping under wraps. She may try to control her tone, limit her expressions, or choose her words carefully, but the way she positions herself around you, the little movements, the gestures, the tension in her shoulders or softness in her smile, those are the real clues. It begins with how she orients herself toward you. Even if she's talking to someone else, her body tends to angle in your direction. Her feet point toward you. Her shoulders lean in slightly when you speak. She may not realize she's doing it. That's the beauty of body language. It's subconscious. When a woman feels drawn to someone, her physical instincts pull her closer, even when her mind tells her to hold back. Watch what she does with her hands. If she touches her face, runs her fingers through her hair, or adjusts her clothes frequently while you're around, that's not just nervous energy. It's self-grooming, a subtle way of signaling attraction. She wants to look her best without making it obvious that you're the reason she's doing it. These micro movements are like her body's way of saying, I care about how I'm perceived right now. And if you're the only one she does that around, it speaks volumes. Her eyes, too, carry silent messages. They'll hold your gaze just a second longer than necessary before darting away. She might glance at you often, but quickly look down or away when your eyes meet. She's curious, attentive, but trying not to be caught in the act. And if you notice her pupils slightly dilated or her expression softening when you talk, those are clear signs of emotional interest that she likely hasn't verbalized. Then there's the matter of space. A woman who's drawn to you, even if she's pretending otherwise, will find ways to reduce the physical distance between you. She might sit closer than usual, stand just within arm's reach, or lean in when you speak, as if drawn by something she can't explain. She may not touch you, but her comfort with being in your personal space shows a level of intimacy she hasn't voiced yet. On the flip side, some women react the opposite way when trying to suppress their feelings. They may cross their arms or maintain a formal posture to appear detached, but even then, their eyes will give them away. Or their legs might still point toward you, despite the defensive stance. Her body might say, I'm keeping my distance, but her energy says, I want to be closer. Mirroring is another powerful indicator. If you notice she subtly mimics your gestures, crossing her legs when you do, resting her chin in her hand the way you do, laughing shortly after you do, it's a sign of unconscious synchronization. Mirroring is one of the body's natural ways of building rapport and expressing connection. She may not even notice it, but her subconscious is already aligned with yours. Pay attention to how she reacts when you speak. Does she lean in slightly? Does her expression shift with yours? Does she laugh even when your joke isn't that funny? Those are all emotional cues played out through her physical behavior. And while she might downplay it with her words, oh, you're so silly, or I'm just being polite, her body tells a different, far more revealing story. Sometimes it's in the stillness, too. If you walk into a room and her posture suddenly shifts, she sits straighter, adjusts her outfit, uncrosses her legs, it's a response to your presence. Even if she doesn't speak to you directly, her body reacts. That subtle tension, that quiet preparation is all rooted in awareness. She's conscious of your presence in a way she isn't with others. A woman trying not to show her feelings will rely on restraint, but that doesn't mean she's indifferent. It just means her words are guarded. Her body, however, hasn't mastered the same level of control, and in that gap between what she says and what she physically reveals lies the truth. You just have to learn to see it, because once you start observing not just what she does but how she does it, you'll realize that her body has been speaking to you all along. She acts unusually reserved or nervous around you, and at first glance, it might not make sense. This is a woman who's confident, composed, even playful in other settings. Around her friends, she's expressive. In social circles, she's relaxed. But with you? Her tone changes. Her energy shifts. She seems more hesitant, more cautious, almost like she's holding her breath in your presence. And that's not accidental. When a woman is attracted to you but is trying hard not to show it, her behavior becomes slightly disjointed. It's as if she's walking on a tightrope between wanting to be seen and being terrified of what that exposure might mean. She becomes self-aware in ways that weren't present before. The woman who normally moves through conversations effortlessly suddenly second-guesses her words. Her laughter becomes a little too soft or slightly forced. Her usual flow becomes disrupted. And that nervousness? That's often rooted in the pressure she feels around you. Not because she fears you, but because you matter. You may notice her becoming quiet during group discussions when you're near. She listens more than she speaks. Her gaze occasionally drifts to you, but quickly shifts away when your eyes meet. She might fidget with her hands, adjust her posture frequently, or seem overly focused on her phone. All these behaviors are subtle defenses, ways to manage the emotional intensity she feels without revealing too much. And yet, this isn't the kind of nervousness that comes from discomfort. It's the kind that stems from being hyper-aware. She's alert to everything. What she says, how she says it, whether she's coming off as too interested, too aloof, too eager. Her mind is busy editing every moment in real time. She's thinking, did I smile too much? Should I have responded differently? Is he going to notice what I just did? And in doing so, she ends up coming across as slightly more reserved than her usual self. What's important to understand is that this behavior is not rejection. It's emotional self-preservation. She likes you, but she's unsure of your intentions. She's cautious about opening herself up too soon, too obviously. So instead, she pulls inward. She stays guarded. She's not playing hard to get. She's just trying not to lose her sense of control. Because deep down, she knows that showing her feelings might change the dynamic between you two, and she's not ready to take that leap without knowing where you stand. This shift is even more noticeable if you've known her for some time. Maybe she was once casual and chatty with you, but now she seems distant. That change isn't random. It's not because she's lost interest. It's because she's developed too much interest. Her silence is her way of managing the emotional volume she's feeling internally. She's dialing everything down on the outside to avoid spilling what's bubbling beneath the surface. You might also see flashes of nervous energy, quick, distracted responses, an overcompensating smile, laughing at things that aren't really that funny. These are her emotional release valves. When attraction builds and she's not ready to act on it, the tension has to go somewhere. It comes out in little slips, sudden changes in tone, or random moments of awkwardness. It's not that she doesn't know how to act. It's that her feelings have disrupted her normal rhythm. Even physical proximity can cause her to tighten up. If you stand too close, she may take a step back, not because she wants space, but because closeness intensifies the emotional pressure. If your hands brush, she might pull away quickly, as if the contact startled her. Again, it's not about discomfort. It's about the adrenaline that rushes through her when she's near someone who affects her so deeply. So many people misinterpret this kind of nervous energy. They think, she's not into me, when in reality, she's trying to suppress how into you she actually is. Her behavior is a mirror of the internal battle between desire and defense. And the truth is, the more she likes you, the more likely she is to act out of character. She's not being cold. She's not being fake. She's just protecting a heart that feels more than she's ready to admit. And if you can see through the silence, the hesitations, the guarded glances, you'll realize that underneath all of it, she's just waiting to feel safe enough to let her guard down. She remembers the smallest details about you, things you barely recall saying, moments you thought were insignificant, random facts shared in passing. She holds onto them like treasures. And while she may never openly admit why those pieces of information matter so much to her, the truth is simple. When a woman likes you, even if she's trying not to show it, her mind naturally collects and stores everything that brings her closer to understanding you. It could be the way you take your coffee, the offhand comment you made about your favorite movie as a child, the name of your dog, your preferred brand of cologne, or even the kind of jokes that make you laugh. While these may seem like small, forgettable things to most people, she sees them as threads that tie her quietly to you. Her memory isn't just working, it's attuned. And that level of attention doesn't happen for just anyone. She's listening, really listening, when you speak. Not just to respond or to be polite, but to learn. She's storing away little pieces of you. Not because she's trying to manipulate or use them later, but because when a woman is emotionally invested, your words carry weight. Your stories become part of her world. Even if she doesn't respond in the moment or make a big deal out of it, that moment stays with her. Long after the conversation ends, she's still thinking about it. You'll notice it in subtle ways. Maybe she brings up something you said weeks ago that you'd already forgotten. Maybe she surprises you with a gift that directly reflects something personal you once shared. Or she asks how that meeting went, or whether your sister is feeling better. Details you only mentioned once. It's not coincidence. It's care. And this attentiveness isn't about flattery or gaining favor. It's about emotional connection. She's invested in who you are as a person, not just how you make her feel. She wants to know your past, your preferences, your moods, and so she pays attention to the little things that most people overlook. At the same time, she tries not to make it obvious. She may casually drop one of these details into conversation, acting like it's no big deal. She might play it cool when she references something you only mentioned in passing, but underneath that calm delivery is an intentional effort to let you know, I see you, I remember you, you matter. This kind of memory is not about intelligence, it's about emotion. We remember what we care about. We hold on to the words and moments that stir us. So if she's recalling even the tiniest things about you, it means your presence has left a mark. You're not just someone she interacts with. You're someone she's invested in emotionally, even if she's doing everything in her power not to show it. There's also a quiet vulnerability in this, because remembering so much about someone, especially when you're trying to act indifferent, requires a lot of self-control. She doesn't want you to see how much space you're taking up in her thoughts. So instead of openly expressing her feelings, she hides them behind these small, seemingly innocent observations. But when you piece them together, they paint a much larger picture. And while she may avoid grand gestures or open declarations, her attention to detail is its own kind of love language. It's her way of saying, I care, without saying it directly. It's the emotional breadcrumb trail she leaves behind, hoping you'll notice. Not just that she's paying attention, but why. Sometimes, her memory of you is even more detailed than your own. She might remind you of something you once said about your goals, your fears, or your dreams. And when she does, it's not just nostalgia, it's her way of staying connected to who you are and who you're becoming. So if she remembers the smallest things, if she brings them up unexpectedly, if she checks in based on something you barely noticed you shared, don't overlook it. That's her heart doing what her words won't allow. That's a quiet confession, wrapped in subtlety. Because sometimes the loudest I like you is whispered through memory. She playfully challenges you or teases you, and at first, it might seem like she's just being cheeky or sarcastic. But there's something more underneath it. When a woman likes you and is trying not to show it, teasing becomes one of the safest, most effective ways she can engage without exposing her feelings. It's her way of maintaining emotional control while still staying close, still staying connected. She doesn't outright flirt. That would be too revealing, too risky. So instead, she uses banter, playful jabs, and humorous provocations to create a kind of emotional buffer. It lets her be near you, interact with you, and build tension, all while disguising her interest as lighthearted fun. Pay close attention to the way she teases. It's not mean-spirited or dismissive. In fact, it's often layered with affection. She may joke about the way you always show up late, but there's a glint in her eye that softens the words. She might roll her eyes at your favorite music or mock your choice of shoes, but her tone isn't harsh. It's inviting. It's her way of saying, I'm paying attention to you. I notice the things that make you, you. Her challenges are often designed to provoke a reaction, not to offend you, but to spark something deeper. She wants to see how you respond. Can you handle her wit? Will you play along? Will you challenge her back? It's a dance, and she's watching every step you take, because through this back and forth, she's testing the waters, building connection without admitting how much she craves it. Sometimes she'll challenge your opinions just to see how confident you are in them. You say you love a certain movie, and she smirks. Really? That's your favorite? You share a belief, and she raises an eyebrow. Interesting. I don't see it that way. It's not because she actually disagrees, it's because she wants to stir you, to make you think, to create friction, and not the kind that pushes you away, the kind that pulls you in. When a woman teases a man she likes but doesn't want to admit it to, she walks a fine line. She gives you just enough to keep you curious, just enough to stay emotionally engaged, but not so much that she loses control of the narrative. Teasing becomes her shield, her safe space. It's how she flirts without getting caught. And yet, there's often a softness in the midst of the banter. She might tease you, then quickly follow it with a smile, a laugh, or a compliment wrapped in sarcasm. You're so full of yourself, but I guess that's part of your charm. These little contradictions reveal the emotional push-pull she's experiencing. She's drawn to you, but doesn't want to reveal the full extent of it. So she balances on the edge, affection cloaked in mockery, attraction disguised as challenge. What's even more telling is how consistent it becomes. It's not a one-off remark or a random moment of sass. If she regularly challenges you, jokes with you, and seems to go out of her way to spark playful debates, chances are she's emotionally invested. This behavior takes effort. It takes intention. It's not something she does with just anyone. It's something she reserves for the man who has her attention, whether she admits it or not. Even her body language during these exchanges says a lot. She may lean in a little more. Her eyes may light up with a spark she doesn't show others. Her voice might have an extra playfulness to it. These are all subtle ways her deeper feelings peek through the cracks in her controlled exterior. You'll also find that she remembers the things you said during your previous exchanges. She might circle back to an old joke, reference a challenge you once failed at, or mock a past moment in your conversation, all in good fun. That's not just a sign of a good memory. That's her way of keeping a thread of connection alive. She's not just teasing you in the moment. She's building a shared history, one clever remark at a time. So if a woman seems to always find a playful way to test you, to call you out in jest, or to laugh at your expense in a way that feels strangely warm, it's not an accident. It's a sign. She's engaging from a place of hidden admiration. She's emotionally invested, but she's guarding her vulnerability. And in that space between a smile and a smirk, between a mock insult and a half-hidden compliment, she's revealing more than she'll ever say out loud. She keeps the conversation going, even when it's not necessary. It starts off small. A question that doesn't really need an answer. A message that could have ended the chat, but didn't. She lingers in the dialogue, replying with a comment that invites another response. It's not about the topic, it's about the connection. She's not ready for the interaction to end, even if there's nothing pressing to say. And when a woman likes you but doesn't want to show it, this subtle extension of conversation becomes one of her most telling behaviors. You'll notice it in how she replies. Instead of letting the exchange fade out naturally, she throws in a new question, a reaction, or a witty comment that pulls you back in. You might say something simple like, "I just got back from work," and she replies, "Long day? What do you usually do after work?" The subject wasn't deep, but she found a way to explore it further. That's not just curiosity, it's effort. And it's not just about the words. It's about the timing. She responds faster than she does with others. She checks in without a real reason. Just a casual, "How's your day going?" Or, "I saw something that reminded me of you." These aren't necessities. She's not obligated to keep the dialogue alive. But she does it because something inside her wants to stay connected to you, even if she's trying to hide how much that matters. She might bring up random topics just to start a conversation. Things that seem unimportant on the surface. Memes, songs, observations about the weather, inside jokes. But underneath, they're carefully chosen tools. Tools that allow her to stay close without risking too much. She doesn't want to come off as clingy or too eager, so instead of saying, "I miss talking to you," she says, "This made me think of you," and lets the conversation flow from there. You'll also notice her engagement level. She doesn't just reply, she reacts. She asks follow-up questions, adds personal touches, sends voice notes or emojis, just to make the interaction feel more alive. She could easily keep it short, but she doesn't. That's because every word is a small extension of the connection she's secretly craving. Sometimes she'll continue the conversation even when it's reached a natural end. You've said goodnight, and she responds with a final, sweet dreams, or talk soon, even though it wasn't needed. She's not ready to let go. Not yet. And though she may act like it's casual, like it's just how she is, there's emotional intent behind it. She enjoys the emotional proximity that comes from being in touch with you. And ending the conversation feels like walking away from that closeness, even if only temporarily. There's also a certain consistency to it. She initiates sometimes, even if she doesn't make it obvious. Maybe she reacts to your story, replies to a tweet, or sends you something she knows you'll find funny. These are all disguised invitations, open doors for conversation that allow her to stay connected without having to admit her true feelings. And the consistency of these little interactions shows that she's emotionally invested, because no one puts in that kind of time and energy for someone they're indifferent to. You might even sense that she's stretching the interaction, adding just one more message, one more comment, one more question, not in a way that's desperate, she's too careful for that, but in a way that's deliberate. She's not just passing time, she's choosing you as her focus, even if she's pretending not to. And this behavior often continues even during conversations that don't have a clear purpose. She'll talk about things that aren't urgent, aren't necessary, and don't lead anywhere in particular. But the very act of talking to you is what matters to her. The subject doesn't matter. The emotional presence does. So when you find a woman who keeps the conversation going without needing to, who adds that one extra message, who finds excuses to stay in touch, it's not by accident. It's because you've become part of her emotional landscape. And even if she's not ready to reveal how much she cares, her effort in staying connected is the silent confession she doesn't know how to put into words. She's interested in your world, but won't admit why. It shows in the way she asks questions, subtle, sometimes indirect, but always aimed at learning more about you. She wants to know what you're passionate about, what your routines look like, what keeps you up at night, and what makes you feel alive. But she never frames it like curiosity rooted in attraction. No, she plays it cool. She masks it under the guise of being friendly, polite, or just interested in people. But deep down, her questions are personal because you have become personal to her. She might ask about your job, not just what you do, but how it makes you feel. She listens when you talk about your goals, your projects, the things that excite you. And if you pay attention, you'll notice she remembers these things. She follows up days or weeks later. Hey, how did that meeting go? Or, did you ever finish that thing you were working on? That's not random. That's focus. That's emotional investment disguised as casual conversation. She might bring up things related to your hobbies or interests. Maybe she starts watching that show you love, or reading that book you mentioned. She'll act like it just caught her attention on its own, but the timing is too precise to be coincidence. She's creating common ground with you, not because she wants to impress you, but because she wants to understand what matters to you. She's trying to find a space where the two of you naturally align, even if she's pretending not to be intentional about it. And when she asks about your family, your childhood, your friendships, those aren't just light topics. Those are windows into your deeper self. She wants to know what shaped you, what influenced your beliefs, your choices, your personality. Not because she's nosy, but because she wants to see the version of you that not everyone gets to witness. And she wants to know if she has a place in that world. You may also notice how she reacts when you talk about things that really matter to you. Her attention sharpens. She leans in, physically or emotionally. There's a glow in her eyes when you're talking about something you love. Even if she doesn't fully understand it, she's present. She listens deeply. She's absorbing your passion like it's a language she wants to learn. But here's where it gets interesting. She never admits why she cares so much. She might say things like, "I just think it's cool," or "you're interesting to talk to," or "I love learning about different perspectives." All technically true, but not the full truth. The full truth is that she's drawn to you. She's curious about how you see the world because she wants to know if her world can fit into yours. And yet, she keeps her feelings guarded. She doesn't want you to know that her interest is emotional. So she wraps it in neutrality. She tells herself she's just being supportive or friendly, that she's just someone who connects easily with people. But if you really watch her, you'll see that she doesn't give this kind of attention to just anyone. Her energy with you is different. She lingers longer. She listens harder. She remembers more. She might even offer help or get involved in your world in little ways. Maybe she offers to proofread something for you, or she sends you resources for a project you mentioned. Maybe she shows up to that event you casually talked about. She'll act like it was no big deal, but it was. It always is. Because anytime she moves closer to your life, she's quietly testing how it feels to be a part of it. The beauty of this kind of interest is that it's sincere. It's not forced. It's not for attention or validation. It's driven by a genuine desire to understand and be around you, even if she can't bring herself to confess that yet. Her mind is already orbiting your world, trying to find ways to blend her path with yours. So if she's asking about your dreams, your past, your plans for the future, and she does it with a softness, a consistency, a quiet persistence, don't overlook it. That's not just casual conversation. That's a woman who's trying to get closer to you without crossing a line she's not ready to step over. She's exploring your world with careful footsteps, hoping you'll notice, and maybe invite her in. When a woman likes you but is trying not to show it, her actions will always speak louder than her words. She might not come right out and confess her feelings, but the signs are there, subtle, consistent, and deeply revealing. It's in the way her eyes linger a moment too long before darting away, in how she always seems to be near you, how her body leans in even when her words pull back. It's in the nervous energy, the soft teasing, the random check-ins, and the way she remembers every little thing you say. She creates emotional space without making it obvious. She stays in the conversation even when it's reached its natural end. She challenges you, engages with your world, and learns everything about you, while pretending it's all just casual interest. But make no mistake, these are not random acts. They are quiet confessions, pieces of a puzzle that, when put together, reveal a woman caught between wanting to protect her heart and wanting to hand it to you. To the untrained eye, her signals might seem subtle, but to the man who's paying attention, they're unmistakable. Because when a woman is drawn to you, truly drawn to you, even if she's not ready to say it out loud, her actions will always find a way to tell the truth her words won't.